Is this a show? Do you want just one thing? Someone is sitting there going, buddy, I do not need to hear what you think. It's hashtag Carl Springs, what's up? Oh, there's the little piggies. Break burger. Oh, yeah. There it is, folks. There it is, folks. Good morning, fam. Yeah. I'm ready to rock. I'm about to jump this mower off with my flashlight. Back here, we've got my Montana hat. That's a shout out to my boy Dominic. More on that later. While I get to doing this, I wanted to tell you guys that I really enjoyed last episode of Mowlosophy, and I've realized I like the discussions that I've had this week with my friends and people who caught a little bit. Turns out my cousin Drew was actually able to share my Okinawa joke and get some laugh-a-daffs, which I thought was super cool. That feels like sending good things out into the universe. He also said I shouldn't shoot this whole mow. I should edit out all the dead space. I'm maybe kind of inclined to agree with him. There's another step here though. This mower likes gas. So before I fill up, I just want to welcome you to episode 2 of Mowlosophy. This week, I have my notes. I'm ready to discuss. Let's get out and mow. Non-ethanol, folks. Small motors. Love this stuff because you can let it sit for a minute without gubbing up your carburetor. I learned something about shameless self-promotion this morning. A friend of mine online has quite a following, and her post was about nootropics, and somebody said they posted they loved sweet tea more than coffee, and I was like, shit, that's exactly, I was just talking about that. And I posted my chapter link to part 2 last episode, and where I was talking about nootropics, and like 0.2 seconds later, dude fired back with like, fuck you, I was talking to my friend, I hate your stupid ad. So I sent my friend an apology, and I realized it was an ad. A little bit of fuckery, but how do you learn not to touch something? It's hot. A little blister in my mind. Good times. Let's jump her off, see what she does. I wanted to see if clipping these little Movo mics on my glasses would work, because I'm flirting with this idea of talking while I weed whack. Right? That's a new one. Okay. Juice engaged. This little flashlight here, my boy Andrew, same one told me to buy the Dodge. He gave this to me. And it'll straight up jump a truck, an 8-cylinder vehicle. It's impressive. Choke it up. So the hard part with this guy is that, I don't know if you can see, but this whole center console here is like beat to hell. And I can't easily keep the e-brake on. Ah! There you go! There's cracks in the seat, and it holds water. And I guess when it's really hot, maybe that's nice. There we go. Easy. 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 Montana, such a beautiful state. Way out there though, like. My Florida boy can't wrap my head around that kind of cold. Caffeine. I fast all day, so black coffee. Alright, let's get out, take a couple laps, see what's up. I'm curious to know. I guess at some point, what y'all think? Like if I should edit this down, or if there's enough ASMR where the blank spaces in between are interesting. Cousin Drew was like, send me last episode and I'll trim it down. And I started to, so there's this concept of like patience, and we get everything so fast nowadays that it feels like patience, like wait, we have to tell people wait for it, no, it's coming, watch till the end, right? Because if we don't get what we're looking for instantly, there's something else to watch immediately. And after we've fallen in love with somebody or what they're saying or what they're doing, we're like, yeah, I'll watch the long format. I'll take this. But for the most part, people want the short pop. And that leads me into one of the things that I wanted to talk about. I realized this while I was scrolling through whatever it was, probably the YouTubes, might have been Facebook. But we call it the feed, right? We call it the feed because we think it's just in one consistent linear stream and it feels like a feed. But what I started to realize is that it's a grid. It's a grid. So we scroll down in each one of these columns. I bet. Each one of these columns, not every one, but we can slide sideways. We can slide sideways. It got me feeling like those are some huge Matrix vibes. Streams next to streams. I don't know. You tell me. Is it a grid? And what does that mean? Like, I guess I feel like it opened up the universality of whatever it was that we were looking at before, because it's expansive. Well, I hope I don't lose you guys here. Whoa! I had a buddy in the Dominican Republic, and his name was John. He's from Canada. And the short version is he was out of town, he let me borrow a scooter. It was his wife's scooter. And I had gone out with some bros, and like in a developing nation on an island, you can really have some fun. And we were really having some fun. And it was probably like 8 in the morning, and we all decided we were gonna roll out somewhere, go get, I don't know, more to drink, I reckon. And we were in this little motorcycle scooter caravan, and I turned around, and pretty much everybody was energized. We'll say energized. And I looked behind me, and my boy Nay, he wasn't there. I'm like, oh my god, Nay! He wrecked his dirt bike! So on this scooter, I pulled this move, trying to do this Fast and the Furious style rapid turn. Boy howdy, was that silly. It landed my face and bike right into a barbed wire fence like that. And I fucked up wife's scooter, like the mirror, some little shit. And I was still living in like America mind. I'm like, yeah, we just go down to the scooter shop and get the new parts. And he was like, bro, it doesn't fucking work like that. This is a whole, you can't just get everything. It was a mass recollection, a mass realization of so many things, just my settings. Also, how quickly things can go sideways on a two-wheeled vehicle when you are having way too much fun. There's some people around here that know all about that. Way too much fun. So I moved away from the grid, but I don't know if you think that's interesting at all, the grid. Like, what does that mean? I guess it doesn't mean anything. It just means it's more. It just means it's more. Like, there's endless more, and if you don't hold attention, but what the fuck does it take to hold attention? It's only marrow. I guess empty marrow, because not everything that holds our attention is that substance. Most of the things that hold our attention are not in substance. You can go left, right, up, down, A, B, select, start. That's an old Contra reference. You guys know the cheat code. Oh. This little birdie didn't make it. Fortunately, this thing has like a street block. Okay. Top of the list. Daily affirmations. This story's gonna meander into me referencing a TV show called The Blacklist, which is mostly mainstream fluff, but there's some very interesting writers, and a couple of the characters were written very well. And if you're familiar with the show, familiar with the affirmation, you are safe, you are loved, you are wise. When I heard that in the show, I thought that addresses, without saying a whole lot, some really key important things. And this woman had shared with the young lady that she was charged and taken care of. That affirmation with her character daily. You are safe, you are loved, you are wise. And it vibed with me right away. And so I began saying it to my daughter, Arrow, which felt a little weird because here I am using Mr. Kaplan's phrase, you are safe, you are loved, you are wise. And the very first time I said it, y'all, the very first time I said it, Arrow's eyes lit up. And she just got into this comfortable body relax. I could just see that it had affected me. And the second time, again, and the third time, again, and just daily, I've been saying this to her. And I kind of grab onto her, give her a hug, and just say, you're safe, you are loved, and she'll finish the sentence, and you are wise. And it's such an important affirmation, because you think to children, why would you say wisdom, you know? But that is the most important thing, wisdom, wisdom. It says that in the Proverbs over and over and over again. Above all else, get wisdom. Get wisdom. I read Proverbs 8 this morning. And it's one of my favorites because it's just, I was there at the beginning and I am wisdom and you need me. And I love those who love me, and all those who do not love wisdom will just have a shitty life. And I think that's so accurate. But what's impactful for me is that most people are not associating children with wisdom, and children aren't thinking about wisdom. But the moment you say you are wise, the child has to think about what that means. And instantly you're opening up like all of this dialogue, all of these thoughts, all of this consideration about what is wisdom? What does that mean? I don't know. It's been good for me, and it's kind of funny that the Blacklist gave me that. Safe, love, wise. Try that with anyone you care about. Say it to them daily. You are safe, you are loved, and you are wise. And I started thinking about that for myself. Do I feel safe? Do I feel loved? Do I feel wise? I'm gonna roll over a McDonald's cup right here. No poppy pop. Yeah, little poppy pop. Ah! This is some shot! Woo! There it was, folks. There it was. Hey, that was a lot of fun. Pop, pop. Oh my goodness. I thought that was gonna be 4 or 5 weeks down the road. It's just 1 week down the road. So I was talking to my boy, TONXY. And he writes pretty sweet beats. And I started thinking, you know, I'm playing these relatively cool kind of canned beats in the background. And I was like, I want to open this up, man. Like, I have so many friends that make music. And so TONXY is in the lab, and he's going to slide some beats my way. And I'm like, yo, you know, how do I help you the most? And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I started putting stickers on my mower of the band, people, and things that I love that are good. So, if you have one of those things that I love, or will come to love, that are good, hit me up. So I'm gonna slide your sticker on my mower. If you have a sticker, and if you don't have a sticker, what are you really doing with your life? I asked TONXY for a sticker, and he's like, yeah, but I've got 100 of them, and they're going out with my limited edition vinyl, so I gotta wait till after those sell. They're not even released yet. They're about to drop. It's on pre-order now. What you should do is slide over to TONXY Music and get yourself a pre-order, because I want a sticker for my mower, and I can't get one till my boy sells 100 records. Which should be no problem, because I know there's 100 people that love good beats. Now, are there 100 people that have record players? Absolutely! They sell them at Walmart. I'm thinking I want to, at some point, be able to go live while I mow. Maybe like an iPad and talk to y'all. Practice safe mowing. No way. Like I said, Mother would be mortified. She watches these. I haven't asked her level of mortification yet. This is only my third trip. Ran over that dead bird. It didn't move, so I think it's okay. I was kind of worried about making the bird confetti with my mower. I don't know if any of you all were worried about me making bird confetti with my mower. That would have been sensational, I suppose, right? And controversial. It's like the kind of thing. I think people on the internet would love and hate. And so what is it about that content for shock value? How much of that do we watch in a day? 10 for shock value. This whole genre is based around that. But there's also a lot of real life shit. We love the fail army. My neighbors just got some cute little piglets, and when I roll past here one of these times, I'm hoping I can show them to you. Last week I mentioned that volleyball that somebody drew a face on, and it's directly in my path right now. So, let's see if I can get it and show it to y'all. Ah. Maybe. I think this is fun. Is this Wilson? Right? Who saw that movie? The part where he's coming back from the island and he's been like eating nothing, and he had to knock his own teeth out with a fucking ice skate. And there's just like a feast with sushi and lobster and all this shit, and just his like his face. You can Tom Hanks, man. Wow. Yeah, he couldn't believe it. He was overwhelmed, and you're not sure what to say about that. And I felt like that in my cute little story of living in the Dominican Republic and then coming back to this first world stuff. And I remember specifically my brother, I hadn't seen him in over a year, and chilling, and he's like, dude, let's go to the mall. And I was like living on a beach. I don't know. I walked into this mall that I grew up going to, the Coral Square Mall. I'm Coral Springs. Hashtag Coral Springs. What's up? Oh, there's the little piggies. Hey, little guys. Hey, little guys. Oh, man. That bacon is so cute. That's cute bacon. I messed up my moat for that. My lines are all uneven now. Cute little bacon. I don't know that they're going to be bacon. Those may be pets. But they have bacon in them. I guess we all do. There's a little bacon in all of us. That's weird. I got a buddy who likes to tell a joke. He's from Guyana. This is NSFW. He's from Guyana. But he's just short. He's shorter and he's brown. And most people mistake him for Mexican. And he's got an island accent, but fucking Americans, we go, oh, you're a foreigner. Anyway, everybody assumes he's Mexican, and he loves it. And he's sitting at the cigar bar. Oh yes, man. Some people really go fast past here with some badass bikes and also some badass speaker systems, and I love it. Anyway, so he says to a girl, you have a really exotic look. Do you have a little Mexican in you? And he goes, no, they go, you have a little Mexican in you? And they go, no. And his response is, do you want one? Do you want one? Because he's short and he looks Mexican. Sorry I wasted your time with that. I think you probably all already knew where that was going. Straight down the toilet. Ah, oh, don't fall. We're close to danger zone, where I knocked us over last time. We're gonna survive this time. Okay, let's get on to it. Talk about the grid. We talked about the safe, love, and wise. And I mentioned my boy Dominic. And so we were having this conversation about structural engineering and life the other day. And I was telling him about Mowlosophy and how I just, wanted to be able to talk about things and hear feedback from people and discuss whatever from a philosophical perspective. And he's like, I got one for you. They're shipping like a gazillion migrants to Chicago. And so there was a little conversation and commentary about that, and I'm going to stay off of that one for right now until I've had more time to think and process. But what I will opine on is the project. They built tents, like a yurt-style tent. Like a yurt-style tent that are rated to 50-degree weather in fucking Chicago, and they're gonna put families in them. So I started to think, what? And I said, well, how many tents? What did that cost? And he's like, 26 million. Then I heard some of the other stuff, and there's infrastructure, and I'm ignorant of the project. I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about it. And enlighten me if you know something about it. But, to me, it seems like set up for failure to put people
humans in a habitation that they could just straight up die from the cold in. Because, right, if you live in Chicago, I know my cousin Emily just lived there for a minute. It's cold, right? I only visited once for a skate show back in like 98, 99. And I think it was in the summer and I felt cold. Well, it's probably fall, but at Florida blood. So, is that project set up for failure? Dominic's going, I don't understand why. And I'm going, there's got to be a reason. It's got to be so they can get people here or there, right? There's more opportunities in large metropolis. Florida is just an unhospitable environment sometimes if you're looking to be industrious, because it's all just based around tourism. There's the Sandspurs. So what does that mean? Is that a good project? I see 26 million because like $1 is worth a penny now. It's what it feels like, and $20 is like when your uncle tosses you $5 for picking up some trash. I don't know, you know, like money doesn't mean what it used to mean anymore. Moving migrants, large infrastructure, cold. Why? Why? So let's think about that. Is it engineered chaos? I think it was Ben Franklin that had the concept of, you know, the quickest way to change an unjust law is the rigid enforcement of that law, right? So if you enforce it, if you want a bad law to change, you begin to enforce it. And then that creates an uprising. And then somehow that's supposed to change it. And I kind of see that concept. Somebody correct me if I was wrong about who did that. Please, who said that. But, you know, is this scenario with intense created to create an environment of chaos and distrust or misery for purposes of creating change? Like, maybe that's it. So I could see a path to that. Like, okay, you want everybody to follow these crazy hard laws to get into the country and stay. Well, we're going to make it terrible until the humanitarian crisis is so bad that there's an outcry that just says, let them come in, for the love of God. This is terrible. Look at the babies. You know, maybe that's it. And if that is the case, how fucking stupid is it that we have to be so slow to change things, that we have to wait for a bad law to be rigidly enforced until we do something about it? So we're like, wait, no, I was lying, this is bad. And what is the purpose of that? And it's because I think we have low attention spans. 30-second blips. If I have to watch you sit without talking on the mower, if something doesn't happen, I'm not interested. I'm scrolling ahead. I certainly don't want to sit here and watch you think. Watch the eyes roll around in your head while you figure out what the fuck you're trying to say, right? That's what we're saying. I don't want to do that. I don't have time for that. Well, where is it that we have to go? Like, what? We just have to get more from the grid. It's a frenzy of consumption. Auditory, visual consumption. We must consume it. And if it doesn't have the kind of calories we're looking for, but that's not calories. Okay, so sitting and thinking. Contemplatively thinking about something, or allowing someone to do that in conversation, is the nitty-gritty. It's the marrow. It's the hard part. But we don't like that. Say it, say it, say it, cut the space, cut the space, cut the space, and I get it, man, pacing. Right? So it's like me railing against, like, why do we have to wrap up our burgers with fancy stuff? You know, like, people like presentation. We like having, it's amusement. Amusement. Is that what it is? Amusing. If you watch any of the, like, witchy magic shows, you know, they're gods. Just want amusement. As if that's the only thing. I mean, wouldn't anything, any entity with considerable enterprise of the brain realize that amusement, though there is a time for it, it's essentially empty. Do we no longer crave substance? I don't know, you tell me. Okay. It's time for this one. Separation. Separation. So, here is a hypothesis that I subscribe to about what the powers that be are involved with as it comes to the polarization of the globe, of every topic, of every issue being distilled down to two things. Now here's the problem. The reality is that every single thing is actually two things. Everything exists itself between a state of hot and cold, left or right, up or down, yin or yang, positive or negative. So, when we try to take two things that are actually two things themselves, both it's positive and it's negative, and we try to take those two things and put them together, we're not actually putting two things against each other. It's four things, but we pretend that the nuance is not there. We're not into nuance. What we're into right now is feeling justified in our disapproval or our approval of one thing. It is this one way. But life is only full of exceptions. There are only exceptions. There are exceptions to absolutely every rule. Even the absolute truthists find themselves with exceptions. So inherently that means we can't say there are no exceptions. We have to acknowledge that everything is multifaceted. So what is it? What is it that's going on where we have to break everything apart into left and right, into up and down, into black, into white, into hot, into cold, to decipher, and then furthermore, pick a side. Pick a side. Pick a side. Okay, why are we picking sides? We're picking sides for one simple purpose, and that is separation. Separation. Why are we separating? The ultimate goal is homogeny. Now, I'm not necessarily opposed to the concept of togetherness, or homogeny being a flavor, or androgyny, any of them. But the mechanism is separate, then clash. And after the clash, the extremes go off to the side, and the middle turns into butter. The middle turns into butter, and there is homogeny, and there is ease of floating. There is wishy-washy. Agency, autonomy, individuality, that is lost. We're individually homogenized. I am me, just like you. Separate, flash, homogeny. And so all of these things that are incredibly complex topics that have real people with real feelings on the other side of it. People who get hurt, who bleed and die and feel shit. People who feel inadequate. People who have been hurt. People who want to hurt others. All of that realness in there. We have that. But yet, we're going to take it down like everybody had the same life. Like everybody had the same experience and everybody's perspective is the same or fucking should be the same. Okay, contrast. If you don't have contrast, light from two different angles, how are you going to see an object? And how fucking cavalier of it is it of us to believe that anything can be definitively decided upon? Because what the fuck do you know? What do I know? Nothing concretely. We know nothing concrete. Nothing. We have inclinations. We have ideas. But we don't have really much empirical knowledge about anything. And anything we say we have empirical concrete evidence for, there's still shit in that concept that we don't understand. So we exist, well, the one thing we understand is that we don't fully understand. I mean, we could take that to the bank. We could take not understanding to the bank. But yet here we are. Which team are you on? Which side are you on? And we've like, it's become so real and almost a meme in and of itself, this splashing of parts against each other. This becomes so normalized that we've memified it. We're like, I like sweet tea. I like Pepsi. I mean, which side are you on? One of these has to go. You can only pick two. These are all the memes you're seeing. These are all the things. Distill, 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 distill. Are you that simple? I mean, fuck, even if you never went to school at all, but you're just out there floating around with a smartphone, there's no way you're that simple. There's no way it's just one thing. There's no way it's just one thing and everybody else can fuck off. Like, what is that existence? Why do we do that? We do that because it's been whipped up inside of us by what we see in our media, what's around us, our memification. Nail it down to one thing. Separate, slap together, and mix it all up. Well, there's your lukewarm milkshake. But what I like about life is all the different parts floating in the same little bubble. To see the difference. When you look at a hand-blown piece of glass and it's got the bubbles in it and you're like, man, that's some really cool shit. Why? It's because it's different. It's not uniform. Do you want uniformity? If that's even a word. Do you want just one thing? I love the color gray. And I wonder if that's not engineered. Are we all just going to be fucking gray with gray houses? Gray cars? How do we deal with that? How do we as people demand through our consumption, I think, because the only way we can make a change is through our consumption. That's the concept of a boycott, right? The Christians love that. What's up, neighbors? The boycotts, and I understand it. Boycott shit you don't support. LGBTQ loves to boycott shit they don't support. In fact, I've come up with this theory, observation, it's not a theory. But there are two distinct groups who are really very different from each other. But they both insist on having their own versions of everything. And that is church and gay. You got your gay pop, and you got your churchy pop. You got your gay clothes, and you got your churchy clothes. Everything's got, I don't know, I'm probably gonna get fucking crucified for that. Why do we have to have our own versions of everything? I don't know. Alright, so I get it, because I used to be in Christian music, and I wanted to share hope and life and love, because that's the way I see and saw church before. Others see brand oppression. I see that too. But I supported my own version, you know, so versions of music that weren't saying fuck, because I liked it, you know, versions of music that gave hope, you know, but Christians would remix popular songs. Christians would, here it is, man, Disney. We've got Night of Joy up at Disney, and then I don't remember what, is it Pride Nights? I don't remember what the LGBTQ friendly Disney events are. But right, so we gotta have our own thing at Disney. But it's so weird, like what the fuck is that? Like I detest that person. I detest that person. But we're both gonna go to the same place and have our own nights where they let us do our own thing. And like, and here's Disney going, give me your money, motherfuckers. Give it all to me. Give it all to me, because I will let you believe that I believe like you. There's that separation. Separates a clash. Separates a clash. Separates a clash. It's coming up to that time where I gotta stop and get some water, folks, but I'm gonna take this little break here and leave with some recap thoughts. You are safe, and you are loved. You are wise. And is there really anything else after that?
Yo, check. What's up? So get this. I was inside getting my covfefe, and a conversation. A couple conversations, actually. I did some posting on Facebook. Just asking friends to go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. And some of the content I've been recently feeling has been rap. I've been writing raps, and 2 people subscribed, and they both were like, yeah, but I hope you still keep posting some music though, bro, because you're, you know, I don't know. Anyway, so I was talking to my cousin yesterday, and it was like Drew, my cousin Drew, and he's like, yo, in addition to edit your shit, which I still don't know, I like the long format, I want to save the homo, because it's a whole experience. Like, you go for a car ride with your friends, and sometimes just fucking quiet anyway. So he's like, you know, maybe you should bust out a rap on the mower. And I was like, that's crazy, because it kind of had that same thought, give everybody what they're thinking about. And then I came inside, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember I was working on something. I was working on a beat, and I wrote a rap, and I'm gonna do it for you guys. But here's what's wild about it, because I didn't remember it at all. I didn't remember what I had written. But it's quite literally what we were just talking about, the separation and the homogeny. So I guess what that means is that it's been on my mind, the idea that we can be pulled apart because we don't know each other. So what we know is our phones. You can't love somebody if you don't know them. You can just have this figurative love. Okay, so I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna try to do it while repping Montana, mowing the lawn, and reading it, because I don't remember this shit at all. Oh, you don't succeed, pick yourself up again. What that means, friends, is that we have a dead battery. I have to go get the flashlight. I'm not going to make you watch this part. I'm going to pause.
Okay. I did it. Let me just sit here. These are awesome. These things are awesome. And it's flat. Right? Come on. Yeah, out. So I think I decided something important. I'm cool with editing down some of the stuff off and like off mower, and I'm just talking. But I want to keep the whole mow, man. Just want to keep the whole mow. Feels like artistic integrity. All right, so I'm gonna fire this up, and I'm gonna attempt to rap and mow. I don't know how this is gonna go. I check my pockets because this instantly gave me anxiety and I reached for nicotine. What does that mean? You know what it means, young man. You paid for it. Okay, here we go. Whoa.
How could you possibly probably anticipate this recent endeavor? You couldn't. And I didn't. Even. Speaking of which, do you remember when we got divided?
There's only two options. Puppets before hands, two faces.
Commonly misunderstood, we just lapped it all up. I'll tell them why.
Now there's something interesting. She's got the biggest smile on her face. Anybody got kids out there? Silly question. Of course you do. Seeing a smile from them is just so remarkable. Why is it? Is it because, I guess, so, if we're looking at it, that must be something inside of us when we create another person, is we're focused on their happiness. You know, we could run amok and spoil kids, do all sorts of messed up things, right? But if everything's working right, what we're doing is looking to support happiness. So my question is, why are we predominantly only looking to do that for our offspring? Why wouldn't we be looking to do that for everyone? Woo! That's great. Do it again. Fire plate. If you guys could see these lines I'm messing up, you probably can see in the camera. I'm just going all over the place. We've completely lost control of this episode. It's out there floating around, living its own life, its best life. There is no better life for it to live. One that it is living. Hey. Let's talk about urges. It needs. Need a coffee. Need my nicotine. Need my coffee. Right? Need it. I'm bringing this up because right now I forgot to grab my nicotine. That's one thing that is a bummer about nicotine. It's like you are gonna do some awesome thinking, and you'll get some focus from me but I'm gonna make you want me. It'd be cool if we loved wisdom the way we love nicotine. Right now, because I want some nicotine, if you asked me if you could only have one for the rest of your life, nicotine or tacos, what would it be? I would probably say nicotine right now. I mean, that's what I'm thinking, because I don't want a fucking taco right now. Even though I love them, I just want some nicotine. I feel like there's some that may watch this and hate on it. They'll be thinking, you're beholden to that. You're beholden to that substance. What I was trying to touch on last week was that, like, who is not beholden to some substance? Who is not beholden to some substance? And then those of you that raise your hand and say, I am not beholden to any substance. I don't know, maybe just fucking water. That's all you do. An Aeritarian. I am not beholden. Are you not beholden to not being beholden? Woo! I mean, what will you sacrifice to not be beholden? I have witnessed many sacrifice bunch connection in an attempt to lead a pious life. In which I find very little diversity. And without diversity, you can have no context. Let's think about prism. Not prison! A prism! A light separator. That which would separate light. Sake of contrast, context, information. Something interesting. Zero right under the dirt bike. Gonna see if I can get her to talk to you. Hey, Bear! Let's see if she'll come. You sit on the mower and keep it running while I run inside? You have to hold, like, it needs weight on the seat or it'll shut up. Just have a seat. Talk to everybody. Sit down, Ron. That's the mic.
Okay, so how do we use this? Well, this is interesting. So basically, I guess I've just got to sit here and keep watch like a little birdie. It sounded kind of weird, but I'm weird, and that's fine, because that's just how I live. I basically just gotta sit here while my dad goes to do whatever, and just keep watch of the mower, because apparently, if I sit up off this seat, then this mower will shut off, and apparently that's bad, so, Yeah, there's that. Pretty sure my dad's coming back, so that's that. And, well, yeah. Pretty much it. Yeah!
Anything else you want to say?
Nope. I already kind of said what I gotta say.
Thanks for helping me out, Cakes. I appreciate it. That's kind of fun. I don't know what she said, but I have a feeling it was pretty cool. She's pretty cool. Alright, we're going to kick this off in a high gear here. Start getting close to the house. When I'm quiet on here, it feels like, woo! We almost had a motorcycle mower collision coming around this trailer. That's fun. It feels like when I'm quiet, it feels like an eternity, and when I watch it, it feels like an eternity too. And so, like, what are some other areas in my life that feel so long? They're actually not that long. So, time perception. And if we're comfortable, happy, well, there's nothing pressing at the moment, time can slide by at the same rate, because as far as we know, it is consistent. Time can slide by and we're comfortable. We feel no anything bad. We feel great. It's Gucci. We're like, yes, just spending some time relaxing. But when it is not that way, we can't abide. And I just think of, like, the frustrations that we have with people who have difficulty articulating themselves. Spit it out, kid. That's what we need from them. Spit it out. Okay, so maybe it's because time is precious. I mentioned that in a song called Green Line. It's not my theory, but it's the concept that time itself is the most valuable thing, because it's the most precious. It's quite literally the only thing that once spent cannot be regained, recaptured, reacquired. It's gone. Gone. I mean, if we look at a river, technically there is like some hope that the one molecule that went past us, that we could jump in a jet somehow and get to the front of it with a rocket and gather up all the water and be certain we captured that molecule. Right? I think we could. There seems to be that possibility. I mean, it would some incredible effort to do that, right? But it's technically possible. But time, once we've moved through it, that's it. It's gone. So it is the most precious thing. But so then my question is, if it is our most precious thing, are we rushing people? Do we not have patience? Is the feeling that we get inside, we're like, this is taking too long. The external pressures, the external fears that we have, these are all motivated. I gotta get to work. I gotta get to school. God bless it. If we don't blow up on each other so much because we're crunched for time, is it because we recognize how valuable that it is? Are we afraid to lose it? What is it? I mean, I understand there's a lot of societal constructs that have demands on our time, and there's legit consequences to not being wherever the fuck it is you're supposed to be, whenever the fuck it is you're supposed to be there. That is something that I rebel against, pick against, at the expense of myself and oftentimes, sometimes, those who love me, those that gotta slide me 20 bucks in the Cash App so I can get a burger. Because, I insist on entrepreneurialism, because I don't want to work for the man, because I fundamentally disagree with 8 hours a day, some bullshit slavery. I write songs about it, and I feel like the people who have helped me stay alive during those times are like, my slavery is sustaining you to write a song about it. And so maybe there's a couple different ways that they can look at it. I think, my mom and dad are gracious enough, they love me. Other benefactors might just accept it as a class of support. Like, okay, this guy, but I still love him, fuck, And then maybe the world looks on and it's like, no, you can't. I saw a post, I'm glad this came up because I wanted to mention it. A friend of mine on the Facebook, who I've known for quite some time, she's got a lot of interesting insights. She reposted something from a star who was standing up on top of his roof, and he's like, yo, like very few people can actually make a living pursuing art. I'm a movie star, I'm a writer, and here I am, I do construction, and I make like 25 times more money building houses and shit. And I say, okay, first of all, but you got a whole hell of a lot of, I'm gonna take my attitude off of that, because I don't know anything. But I do still see privilege in the fact that I know how hard it is to get a contractor's license, because I bashed my head against it in Florida for years. And it's impossible, it's some mafia shit. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. So if you're at the bottom, the difference between like a leg up, like just one leg up is the difference. They're like, look, okay, I get it, it's hard. I may have had this little thing. That little thing opened the whole thing for you. That little thing opened it all for you. The concept was like, listen, get real. Not all of us can be artists. And I think there's something sobering in that sentiment. There is something that is important to acknowledge and to recognize, that we may not all be them, right? That not all of us can just go, I'm going to stop working and pursue my art. And that is a bummer in and of itself. This was Holly Potts, Garrett Atlas. I love it. She gave me the note, like, don't put me on camera. I won't, I promise. But your inspiration. There's the Arrow Bear. Best sticker book ever. I don't remember what I was talking about. That's a lost train of thought. I was thinking I should put a little alarm bell on there, like every time I lose a train. It just goes beep. Do you guys want to talk about external validation for a little bit? I'm on this app called Pattern. And it has been remarkable assistance to me in understanding myself. And it's encouraged me in multiple days and scenarios, like, hey, and it's based on my star charts when I was born, my Leoness, love and shit. And it's like, hey, you know, you should look at engaging in things solely for the purpose of creation and not for the purpose of external validation. So what is that? My likes? This is something that's in the zeitgeist. We talk about it, right? We talk about, you know, kids and the dangers of Instagram, where it's like, oh my God, everybody, they didn't like my picture. Okay, so I get that. But external validation is a reality. We all need it, right? Otherwise, like if we didn't need it, why would you are safe, you are loved, you are wise, why would that work? Why would any sort of affirmation work if it didn't work? So because it does work, it must mean that there's some need. And the pattern has encouraged me to think about, what does it mean to engage in something not for the purpose of external validation, but for the purpose of the thing itself? And what does that mean? What is that even like? And I mean that genuinely, because me being me, I really do. I seek external validation. In fact, I'm not really even sure. I mean, potentially the premise is flawed here, because I'm not even sure that is like wrong. External validation is how we tell if something is right. I don't know, right? So we're in sports. Where is that? I mean, is that music? What is it that we're doing, right? Is it like, maybe it is just the contemplation of it. Like, am I doing this solely for a like, solely for external validation? Is this thing happening because I want someone to say, yeah, bro, that's what's up? Yes. Am I also doing it because I enjoy it? Yes. I've just been sitting with this sheepish feelings of like, if it is all external validation, where's the substance in it? This is my son, with whom I am well pleased. In what believer, and I'll talk to the Christians or otherwise who spend any time who are aware of that verse, whereas it says, Almighty spoke and said, this is my son, whom I am well pleased. And in church, they put that as like a goal. You want to be in that blessing, in that validation. And what better validation than to have the validation from Creator? And so why would that not be in the pinnacle? So what does it mean to create something for ourselves and also not to seek external validation, but then also what we're creating, though for ourselves, the act of creation, it is created for consumption by others. It's inherently inseparable. They're tied together. And I like what the pattern has led me to think about, which is, just sit with it. Sit with the duality. Sit with the idea that you don't have an answer. You don't have an answer, but you have a contemplation. And I feel like that poise in your mind is like the same way when you're watching a kung fu flick and the master of kung fu, the protagonist, the hero of the story, knows that they're up against the big boss, the big fight. And there's that moment where they stop and there's a century and the chi, and they look for that chi, and they look for that fight. There's an acknowledgement of the not understood, the yet to unfold, the yet to be perceived or understood. There is the yet to come, and that's what we're investing our time in. And I feel like that is good. Being able to sit with the duality, with essentially maybe a conflict, with the two disparate things, which seem opposing. And in fact, they are opposing. They get oil and water. They can't be in the same place, but they can be in the same bottle. And I think that that is like what our makeup is. Like a whole bunch of different shit in the same bottle. And that as we do things, I think there's just an importance of a full-faced acknowledgement. Because then things in a subconscious way and in a not totally perceived or understood way begin to become, changes occur. Our methodology, the soft hands until a grip is needed. These things changes physically, the contemplation. And so my takeaway for this concept of reduction in and around involving external validation is to acknowledge that, and then also to acknowledge the value that we garner in creating solely for ourselves. So who do we create? Just ourselves? Just other people? I feel like there's got to be, so I've known people who, it's almost an archetype, like you get the sense they're in like a cave, some weird place in New York City, just making this art, and it's like, you wouldn't understand my art. But I think that even that archetype, that personality, is thinking somewhere in the back of their head, nobody's gonna get my art till I die. Okay. So you're not gonna get my art till I die. But then if I operate in that philosophy, in that worldview, in that understanding, is still expectant of consumption by another. Though in that case, it would be in the future, post-mortem. But there's this expectation, because in their mind, they know there's going to be one person who's going to see it. And maybe while they're painting, while they're creating, while they're stitching things together, is that not some sort of external validation? This will be seen. This will be known. Will be consumed, even if just by one. I'm trying to think of the things that I've done that are just for me, that no one else would see, ever, or know. Like I do most of the cool shit that I do physically, like nobody is around. And I'm like, I wish somebody saw that. I spent a lot of time practicing how to be good. I don't think we can separate ourselves from that wish. And in fact, I think that those who attempt to separate themselves So far from that are those that have been hurt by people and are kind of like, fuck people. I do this for me. Do you? I just don't like this solely simple, polarized, mono view. Because 0% is mono. Nothing is just one thing. There doesn't have to be a resolution for there to be a change in operation. And we don't even really have to define that change in operation. I think we can just let it happen. By being willing to sit with the weight of the juxtaposition between those two things. Just sit with it. Some people do some really... That truck right there, just past that car. Man. I almost like spun the camera around on him. It wasn't really a dangerous move, but why, you know, this is... So, Lake Wales is growing up. It's becoming Fort Lauderdale, and the road that I live on was like the cut through for the locals to get around to the other side of town. But now all the people that live in town are realizing that because of the traffic, it's quicker just to come out here. And this shit is 55. And if you're not doing 55, there is some serious southern angst. And then that gets displayed on a throttle. And a risky turn. Highway 60. So, all of this shit happening out here is something that I've been through. Because I grew up in Fort Lauderdale. We came up to this town, the whole family, this area, to get away from the growth, and here it is. And now I feel like in the movie where there's somebody who was like, you know, brought to the front. This evil destroyed their village. They came to us from sanctuary. They know what it is. Look what it's doing. Listen to them. And I'm like, it is coming! The traffic is coming! Thought it was bleeding. It's just my notes. The traffic... Note for 2 hours last week. I did drop the microphone. We're gonna do it differently. We've had 3 drops. Went to push my sunglasses in. I've been contemplating ways to make like the dead space between mowing, you know, little fun facts on the screen. Emphasize the music, and I feel like emphasizing the music is probably the right thing. As I can move away from canned soundtracks to something that people who I appreciate created. We love their music. But is that still not filling the void? Unless we always fill the void. That's an argument. That's something that people talk about. They discuss faith. They discuss how we're running around trying to fill the hole in our heart with substances, with things that feel good, momentary pleasures. And I just see no difference, right? So if our Creator looks at our hearts and our attitude and our mindset, what's the difference between a Coca-Cola and crack cocaine? Now, okay. Yes. Yes. One will destroy your life. And so will the other. Just a little bit less. A little bit slower. But is not the mentality the same? Right? Isn't the mentality the same? I need this. I can't think. I need a break. I want this. We want to consume. They sort of shift the something. And I understand that there are huge differences. The outcomes between the two. I'm looking at them with a pulled back philosophical perspective, in that legalism just kind of has no basis because there is no power. My hat did not make it onto the back of the view. That guy had a cool bike. It's a sliding scale, and we're starting to learn things about this. So we realize things are in scales. Narcissism is on a scale. You are, I am, we all are. How much? Haters. On a scale. You are, I am, how much? Lovers. On a scale. You are, I am, how much? Salad. That's a beautiful place. I had a friend, dear friend, ask me recently, why do you make it so hard on yourself? Yeah. They've known me for a very long time. They're taking a pulled back look at my life and saying, you've made choices that accept extra burden, that accept extra challenge. And their perspective was that, you know, there was a certain lustiness with the way I approached that, almost as if I wanted it. And it's like, are you looking for that abuse? Are you trying to put yourself through something difficult and hard? And yes, I think I am. Sometimes that's healthy, and sometimes it's not. And I think that they understood that about me. And for we're trying to highlight the concept of, like, you know, have you adopted, just because you are different and perspectives differ from the mainstream, you know, are you looking to make things harder to establish your own difference internally? To establish my individuality internally, and I think there's a lot to that. What's coming to my mind is when I first started getting into aggressive skating, rollerblading, my parents were not liking the dangers of broken limbs and such. So, like, pads. They were making me wear these pads. And any of you who were into skating, inlining in the late 90s, you'll remember those giant knee pads that you could wear. And there was like the $60 pairs that had the 1.5-inch thick cushion. I forget what they were called. They had the badass cool kneecaps, and mostly only like vert skaters would wear those so they could slide in. And they bought me like I don't know if it came off this silly route. They got me a pair of these like neon green, plasticky, amateur looking things, because they were probably only $5 or $10, which was in the budget, not the 68. So I couldn't abide the embarrassment, nor could I break trust with my parents and not do as requested. So my approach was to painstakingly glue pennies all over the kneecaps of these knee pads, and I painted like the green to silver, I think. They were like hard to get on, hard to carry, hard to hold, hard to do anything with, but they looked different. They felt different, and nobody had ever seen it before. And so I felt good about my weird shit. Which I think is like fun. Okay, so we customize things, we embellish things. I bedazzled my knee pads. Somehow in my mind that translates to the hard way, the difficult way. I had to like lay them down special. I took them on the bus so the pennies would fall off. I mean, if I actually fell, I think pennies would have gone everywhere. I never fell in them, so I didn't want to. You know, but I made it harder on myself. I skated less aggressively because I was protecting my pennies, because I wanted to be different. And so as I've been thinking about my friend's sort of question, like, are you making it hard on yourself on purpose? And I think in some circumstances I am. Solely for the sake of being different. And why would I want to be different? So that I can be seen, respected, be cool, be understood, be appreciated. What is all of that? External validation. So there I am, doing something different and hard. External validation. Is that okay? Is that something that we should do with doses? Is that something like we shouldn't do all the time? but it's okay. Is this just a question for myself? And none of y'all need to think about it? That's a possibility. It's a legit possibility. Oh snap, she's customizing her bike. Those look awesome! I want to put stickers on my mower. Jack, I need some D&O stickers. I want to support you. I also need another one of those slow down loosen ups, so I want to put that on here. Alan, native imagery, I want to support you. I need your sticker on my mower. Who else? Scott King, PCI, I want to support you. I want your sticker on my mower. Who else wants to send me their sticker? Break Burger in Lake Wales, Florida, I want to support you. I can put your sticker on my mower. So you make some good burgers. Right now, they're the best burgers in Lake Wales. And y'all have been taking the time to do some pretty badass little commercials. And I really respect that. I like it. I like seeing people take the time to try to make awesome things. So then, does it matter what our motivations are? Can we do it for other people? Well, yeah, because sometimes doing something for other people, just that in and of itself, means that you're going to try to make it good. So you want it to be consumed. Ah, you want to race? You want to race? Let's just send that away. We do it for other people so that we make it good. That's our test. If other people don't like it, no one's going to consume it. So art and food, you got to pay for that. That's commercial consumption. Motorcycle cross. To produce for the enjoyment of others, what was Mozart doing? So, maybe it's this. Maybe there is no difference between us and others. Maybe it's that delineation that separates us from love. That separates us from love for ourselves, which separates us from other people. Because we have no love within. Because they are not us, but they fucking are. They are you. You are them. I am you, and you are me. We are each other. How does that work? Think about it. Just the concept that empathy exists, I believe, indicates that it is a clear function. It's there on purpose. It's not just an accident. That empathy is part of the mix. That empathy is something that is possible. It's part of the mix. There are so many that detest the hippie mentality. One love, we are all one. Namaste. But I want to find a way to communicate that to the roughnecks, to the hardheads out here in this world. That shit is real. And if we pull back just half a second, we can see it. We can see it. You are me. I am you. And the whole interface between us is called grace. Because we are not computing the same things at the same time. We are set on different tasks in this same big processor. And we're running around it. We're all set in different tasks. Getting a drop off of my hat. So considerate. All processing different things. And so we need grace to receive the download from another that lets us know what they are processing and what has been processed and what we need from that action, from that processing, from that contemplation. There's this theory that says, well, God is all of us. We are individually God, or parts of God, because God, the Almighty Creator, wanted to experience everything. So we have an infinitesimal, not infinitesimal, infinite. We have an infinite display of people, persons, places, and things spread across all time and space. And that each one of us is that entity in part. And so that's interesting, and I think it's really brazen to say, yeah, that's what's going on, because what the fuck does anybody know? What do we know? We don't know. But if you sit with that theory for a little while, what that means is that we need the information that the other has processed, and the others need the information that we ourselves are processing. I need to hear what you think. You need to hear what I think. Somebody's sitting there going, buddy, I do not need to hear what you think. And they're right. Right? I mean, they don't. Not every person needs everything from everybody. We are not capable of it. But we don't have to define the who, what, when, where, why. We can just live our lives. And if we approach it as if that other person has processed data and understanding that I need, and I have processed data and understandings that others need, and we can share them, doesn't that make it something magical? Does that not add value? And so therefore, no matter what version of anything you subscribe to, setting with the concept that we are all connected, transistors in a CPU, individually, processing shit, the oil and the vinegar, the same bottle, and all the different little globules in the same bottle. Is it not all required? Should there not be an appreciation for the other droplets of dew in the bottle with you? Folks, this bottle is often scary for me. Fear. Fear is the love killer. Fear is the separation maker. We can't be on the same boat if you're going to be trying to do what you're trying to do, because you're going to get us all killed. We can't be in the same boat if you're trying to do what you're trying to do, because you're not going to see what's about to come. You can't sit up front. Okay, I get that. But that's predicated on this illusion that we have a choice about our boats. Are we not all in the very same boat? Are not all of my droplets jammed up next to your droplets? And if you pull back far enough, what's the difference? What is the difference between our droplets? Homogeny. So that goes yes. Let us all be the same. That's not what I'm saying. Distinction is important. We've talked about that. That's the separation of light, the prism, contrast. Distinction is important. But we're looking at things as left side, right side, and there is no that. There is a sphere. And what is the origin of the sphere? Where is the point? Where's the single, where in a giant bubble do you say is here, and that is there? This is not perspective. What governs direction? Is your left my left? Is my right your right? Yeah. Maybe yes. I think we just need to go, yeah, that's interesting. And then nothing else. Like, we don't have to go out and kill anybody now. Because it doesn't matter that they're different, and it doesn't matter that they're different around us. I had a friend that killed himself, and a couple months before he did, we were down by Lake Clinch, and I was talking about what Pastor Landon up at New Hope had talked about that Sunday morning, which was like, love your neighbor as yourself. And he said to me, you know, I think that's the problem. It's not that we don't love our neighbor as ourselves. It's that most of us do love our neighbor as ourselves. And he looked at me with this pain in his eyes, which I now understand much better. His point was that we are actively loving others as we love ourselves, because we don't love ourselves, because all we see is our faults and our failures and our fuck-ups. We have hate and hurt and anger for what we fucked up on. We can't remember that love. So how can we show it to another? And he's saying we are out here loving each other like we love ourselves. We don't fucking love ourselves. So profound. And it's stuck with me for a few years now. So what's the takeaway? To love yourself as your Creator loves you. And if you believe you are your Creator, okay, you must have really loved yourself then to make yourself. So you should keep loving yourself. And then you should show others that love that you show for yourself. Well, folks, I've about wrapped up this Mo. I want to thank you for being here with me. I want to thank everybody for the shout outs and the feedback and the fun. This was fun yet again. I'd be interested in hearing what you think, because nobody can live in an echo chamber, and I feel really good about my thoughts. I'd like to hear somebody who doesn't feel really good about my thoughts, and go from there. Send me your music, send me your stickers. I'll see you on the next Mo. Love you, fam. Latest. There it is, folks. There it is, folks.